Hi everyone and welcome back to the Aquapod for what is our awards evening special. I'm your host Charlie, and on today's show I'm joined by Scottish Amateur Swimming Association President Derek McGown. We take a look at his presidency so far, run through our award winners, and we hear from Derek about his highlight of the evening as well. We hope you enjoy today's show. So, to be joined on the Aquapod for the first time by current SAS President Derek McGown. How are you doing, Derek?
Good, thanks, Charlie. How's yourself?
Yep, not too bad. Just seeing you there, obviously recovering from what was quite a busy weekend and a couple of weeks leading up to the awards, but obviously a really good night. I think we'll go a bit more into that later on, but how was it for you? Did you enjoy the weekend?
Very good weekend. Obviously, good to get the AGM completed after quite a lot of work over the last, I don't know, 2-3 months in the lead up to that. And then obviously the awards is just a good celebration event in the evenings. It's nice for me to introduce it and then I can enjoy the night beyond that.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a little bit more detail because I think it definitely deserves more than that. But before we do, I thought it'd be a good chance for our listeners to hear a bit about you, about the current president of the Scottish Amateur Swimming Association. Obviously, you've been involved in swimming for a number of years, I think over 30 years at East Kilbride, coaching, I believe, since about 2008 as well. So a long time in the sport, a long time in a number of different roles. Do you want to talk us through your journey into the sport and maybe into volunteering as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in a slightly smaller club when I swam, got into swimming purely because my sister swam. So I started at Blantyre Swimming Club, probably around about 8 years old, and then just really enjoyed it. Did a mixture between basketball, swimming, and BMX for a number of years, and then eventually your parents get you to choose on one, don't you? So moved to East Kilbride in August of '95. And I've been there ever since. There as a swimmer, and then obviously after a few years, head coach Andy Figgins became my coach. Which over the period of time through my swimming career and giving up in, I don't know, what was I, about 22 years old by the time I retired, when you've got to form a career for yourself, and went to university, finished that off, and then only had about a year or so away from the club in full before I came back in as a coach, and been coaching there ever since. I always like to pitch myself in the middle of the club so that I see the development end and everything that's coming through, but also then can see them through to go on and be as successful as they want to be fair.
Yeah, I guess is that what kind of keeps you involved then from that coaching perspective as well, just seeing the next generation coming through and being able to be part of that as well.
Absolutely. So as a school teacher in my day job, I always find that I'll always be what I would class as an age group coach. Everyone can define themselves in different ways, but I would always see myself in the way that our club operates as an age group set up, and we'll make them as good as they can be and then move on to pastures new, whether they continue to swim or whether they just go into lifelong careers from there in university. So I've always seen that the passion and the enjoyment is because I've got that as an addition to my career. It's not that it's that pressure situation where it's your day job every day, because I don't think I would enjoy it as much. So certainly having that coaching on the side, so to speak, although it takes up a number of hours, that's probably why I enjoy it the most. And it's just to see those kids thrive, that even if competition is not for them, I just see the success in the young people that I've coached over the years. And it's when they come back to you in the future, that's where you see the development that you've actually had and the impact that you've had on their lives.
And you've taken that a bit of a step further in your club and the district, and obviously now at Scottish Women and at SASA as well, both being the president. You were the West District president for a while, obviously, as well as the kind of process to become SASA president. Why did you want to do that, and what was that experience like for you to become the president?
Yeah, so I've always tried to give as much back to the sport as possible. I've been very fortunate in a time that I've had a lot of good successes, but a lot of good people and a good team around me that have given me a lot. And I've always seen that voluntary aspect that I just think is so important for our sport, especially when you look at us as a membership organisation. So I've always wanted to give back, and when I was approached about being the West District Vice President at the time, which then goes on to the President, I didn't look at it, I considered it all. I looked at the amount of time that's involved, but also I looked at the point in my professional career in school, but also my coaching career. And although I was still doing a lot with swimming at the time and coaching YDS even at Scottish swimming level at that point in time. I just felt that was the right time to have that impact on the sport. As people will know, when you're looking across different district roles or SASA roles, there's probably been a historical tradition that people see it as that's the older generation that would do that and so on. And it's not about breaking tradition. I just seen that there was a point in time that we could look at modernising things. And I think that came at the right point for me being district president. So then just moving on, we obviously took that to council as part of that role within the districts as well, and looked at the modernisation programme. I've rounded out 2019, but as you know, COVID hit in 2020, so that put scupper to some of those plans in terms of how we modernise the volunteers, and that became the challenge over the few years because obviously, as you know, the numbers in volunteers reduced. That made it more difficult for volunteers to get involved, and actually there was a stock of volunteers that we lost to the sport, but from that we lost a lot of experience, and I think we're just starting to see that coming back now, that people have gained that experience and are more than likely trying to get themselves back in and help the sport further. So, and I just think there's that cycle that probably happened again when it came to the SASA president. I spoke to my wife closely about it, and I said, well, do I do it now or do I do it at the time, which would have been in 4 years' time? Obviously, we've got a different set of governance around that now, which extends that. So I do genuinely believe everything happens for a reason, and making that choice to do it when I did a few years ago really has probably given me that positive impact that I wanted to make at this current stage, and hopefully that we can take the organisation through the difficult times that we're in at the moment with financial pressures and continuous strains on resources and legislation that goes with it. So hopefully I'm in a good place both professionally and from a swimming perspective in that kind of corporate public environment, that you can then see both sides to it and bring some of the experiences from both, because I've genuinely felt that everything I do in my career has helped me from a swimming perspective, but also everything I've done from a swimming perspective has massively helped me in my career.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting you mention about like a bit of a new generation, and almost there was that lost experience in COVID and stuff. And I guess you reflect that a little bit in being probably, I think you may be even the youngest ever president to hold office, if not one of the youngest. How has that been from that perspective, you know, when you're in such a traditional role and position, and how have you found your as presidency as well, and what are some of the roles and things that you've been working on in that time?
I think from a SASA perspective, I don't think there was too much surprise. I probably got a lot of comments and things said to me when I was West District president, but that was just different from the traditional model and mould and so on. But that didn't really bother me. I'm there to make an impact. It's not about that's my reason for doing it. You want to have a positive impact on the people, the volunteers and the swimmers and that next generation of people. Through my SASA president year so far has been, I would say, pretty good in terms of people having positive responses to me, challenging me. Totally, I want the challenges with it, giving you things to think about, things to change, and no matter what I think, it's about how I work with council and the wider membership organisation to try and take their views forward. And no matter what we do, as you would see at the weekend there, even at the AGM, we won't all agree. Hopefully they can see the purpose behind what we're trying to do, and how we're trying to maximise what they get for the least amount of money possible, which is a very difficult thing in our sport. So yeah, it's just been listening to a lot of people and taking things on board, taking the experience from some of our life members and taking that on, but at the same time looking at that younger generation, especially bringing some of the young volunteer programme kids and the young ambassadors onto council in the past year. So that has been an absolute breath of fresh air if you've been on council previously. And as you know, with the change in legislation with the young people and the conventions for the rights of the child, it's so important to listen to the young people as well. And I think they've got a massive part to play in our future within the organisation as well. Probably, as someone said to me on Saturday, I think I've got some sort of innate poison chalice with it, because when I was West District president, the AGM moved, which meant I did 2.5 years as president rather than rather than 2, and it got extended. And then obviously last year's governance changes moved me to the first official 2-year president, although those presidents that have served longer than the 1-year term, the president role and the vice president role in line to become full-term board directors over a 4-year period. Just think it's really important, and has given us a stronger voice from council on the board. And I know from my conversations with Graham Marchbank that he likes that system now, that everyone now that sits at board has that equal weight and an equal voice. So it's just taking that forward and get people to see that and see the work that we're doing in the background, although it might not come through all the time, but hopefully over a longer period of time, even successor to me and Tony will then take that on a stage further as well.
Yeah, no, exactly, and it's exciting that there's that extra year for you, and you can really make more of an impact, because I guess it's quite often you come into this role and you've learned everything. You've been to every event, you've spoken to everyone, and then it's right, okay, it's the next person. So we'll come on to that a little bit later on, about the kind of year ahead, because lots of exciting things, lots of challenges as well. But great to hear from you about your time so far within the role. But I thought it'd be great to have you on to talk about the awards. We've obviously kind of skirted over that so far, but it really was a great day on Saturday in Glasgow. We had our mentioned and our awards evening, which is the highlight of the year for I think for a lot of us. It really is a celebration of all aquatics in Scotland, from coaches to athletes across the sports, our partners and learnt swim providers, and really just a great mix of people, and great to have so many people in the one room celebrating all that goes on. And what I'm going to do is we'll go through the award winners that were given out in the night, and we can have a little bit of a chat about some of those, Derek. But I thought we'd start off with the John Gunning Awards, and that's obviously the awards for volunteers across the 4 districts. So we had Fiona Roger from the east, Bruce Bannerman from Midland, Colin Oswald from the north, and Brian Dalgleish from the west. I guess this is an award that will probably be quite close to you, in terms of being volunteer and you being so strong in that, and really the representative of those amazing people as well. Do you want to talk us through that award and how good it is to see the recognition for the hard work?
Yeah, I think you'll find from the interviews on Saturday that Arlene did on stage, although the award is for who's maybe given back to their district the most within that previous year, although where that a lot is, I think it takes a long time for people to get some of these awards, which shouldn't necessarily be the case. You're listening to Fiona talking about she's been in our sport as a volunteer for best part of 50 years or more, and that's just quite incredible. I know I'm talking about I've been at East Kilbride for 30 years, but 11 years of that I was a swimmer, so I'm then looking at that and going, that's a fair chunk of time if you want to continue within the sport. But we've also got, it's just the nature of what people do and the time that they give back. And there's always a discrete thought process, especially from myself. I can say this from a West District perspective, where there's just an assumption that things happen. They don't see all the workings that go on in behind, and the hard work that you see. Like, I can easily describe just, we're talking about the John Gunning Award, but you look at the event on Saturday night, the amount of work that goes in from the members of staff, that goes with any of our events that we hold from a Scottish swimming perspective. An absolutely incredible amount of work from such a dedicated team of staff that I think is sometimes unseen. And I think what's special about nights like Saturday night is that it gives that opportunity for people to shine and be seen. Similar stories when we're talking like about Fiona there in the length of time, similar stories from Bruce and also from Colin, and Brian's probably a slight outlier from that because he's not necessarily had kids yet go through the sport, but I've coached alongside Brian for a number of years now as well, and he's got involved in district things, and although not maybe because his family commitments, got the time to maybe step up and do things like the West District president like I've done in the past, but he's taken that leagues system on within the West and really driven that forward since the sad passing of Anne Girvin, probably about 15, 16 months ago. So just to see that and how that is shown, I think that's testament to the work and the succession that we've got within our sport across the districts. And for me, it might be the first award of the night, but I always champion it as probably one of the best. And I will come on to probably my favourite later on, but it's right up there. And I think it's really important for the people around the room, although we can see the performance awards and things like that, it's champion that volunteer. And I said that in my initial SASA President's address a year ago up in Aberdeen when I had taken over. That it's about championing that volunteer on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and ensure that we can generate that success for our sport going forward.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you. It's obviously the first award that comes up, but I think it is one of the most important ones on the evening. And it is amazing to see that kind of range of experience and across different sports. Obviously, if you want to be in a huge part of the kind of open water community in Scotland as an example of that. But no, I think you've reflected on that really, really nicely. And yeah, it's definitely worth going over those amazing people who give so much back to the sport in Scotland. After the John Ginnon Award, we got the J.Y. Coots Award, which was given to Chris Jones, who started the University of Edinburgh programme and has spent 17 years there. So congratulations to Chris. That was a great award and great achievement as well. There's quite a lot of awards, so we're going to rattle through them. But next was the Sporting Awards, and these are given out across obviously every sport under the Scottish Women banner. And the Artistic Swimmer of the Year was given to Nairn's Rosa Clark, who's had a fantastic season, performed really well at last October's National Championships, which is held at the Dolan, obviously a place you'll be familiar with, Derek. Our Open Water Awards went to Emily Riach on the senior side and Connor Aspinall on the junior side, both of who have also obviously had great seasons on the Scottish Open Water circuit. And the Diver of the Year went to Noah Penman of Aberdeen Diving Club, who has had a really, really special year, getting his first senior appearance at World Championships, a third European Junior medal in a row, and also his first ever senior international individual medal as well. And we can hear from him now.
Yeah, of course. It's great to receive the recognition for what I've done this year here at the awards. So this year's been great, and hopefully we can push it forward. So yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks. Yeah, I think going into the senior events this year, over the past few years, I've mainly been doing under 19 junior events. So I kind of just thought, what's the worst that can happen? Go for it, see what's going to happen. And then I tried to just do the best dives I could, each dive at a time. And then here we are.
So great to hear there from Noah, Derek. You know, a really talented youngster and someone who speaks really, really well as well. And hopefully someone that will be a shining light for diving in Scotland. And great, I guess, from your perspective, to have someone that is going to be representing one of the other sports as opposed to swimming for Scotchmen.
Yeah, I've actually followed some of Noah's progression through that, because as you come into the role that I'm doing, you get to see those other sports, and it's not that you don't go and look them out when you're not doing that role, but you get invited then when you're part of council, and it's really important to go and see the other sports and learn about them. And a big thanks to Robert Heatley and his team when they're putting on these events that teach us about the other sports. So just the diving, for example, and we can go and we can watch and we can think what we think's a good dive and so on, but just to see the progression, and then you see some of those videos that are coming back from abroad when you're watching Noah, it's just simply quite incredible. And one thing I would say about all the awards, and Noah especially, as you said it yourself, like all the young people speak so well. They're so articulate. They are absolute stars to their clubs, their families, and just the way that they come across, the levels of confidence. There's no confusion in that they're going to be successful in life, no matter how well they do in the sport. And it's just terrific to see someone like Noah make that progress within diving, and to just see then they've got that plan for the future and how they move that on. And obviously looking for the future for Noah, I think it just looks very, very bright. And I think pretty much all of the diving community would agree with me in that sense, that there's exciting times ahead, not just for Noah, for others. And as I've probably said in the wider community, it's a shame that we don't have diving at the Commonwealth Games next year. But I just think it ultimately is going to make some of those youngsters a bit hungrier for the future, in terms of making that European world stage, whether it's Olympics, whether it then comes round next Commonwealth Games and it's then back incorporated with more sports. Which is the finite hope. So you're looking at that, and Noah's got the age range on his side at the moment. So yeah, just really want to see those youngsters step up and follow in his footsteps as well.
Yeah, we've covered on the podcast previously about, kind of disappointed about diving not being in the Commonwealth Games. Actually, Noah probably is a good example of someone who's gone, well, all right then, but there's still great opportunities there at European level, at world level, and, actually maybe raising your bar that bit higher and going, well, if that opportunity's not there, I'll find it somewhere else. So congratulations to Noah, a great season and really well-deserved award winner there. Fellow Aberdeen athlete who's had another fantastic year is Dean Fern, and he was given the Junior Swimmer of the Year award on the male side. A fantastic season for Dean, becoming European Junior individual champion, and then a month later becoming an individual World Junior champion. Fantastic athlete who's been coached by Laura Bowie and has now joined the University of Stirling programme. And we can hear from Dean now as well.
Yeah, there's not been much time between each event and competition, so I guess now is the time to reflect and look back on what I've done. It's been amazing though, like for sure my biggest year and my best year even. Shocked and surprised myself in many ways, which I'm really, really happy with. Some great relays, some great individual swims, and yeah, to get on that podium individually this year has been great. I think last year was a big challenge for me, kind of just switching up and knowing what I needed a change. Obviously got that at Stirling, and finding that's been really helpful and just allowed me to do really, really well. And yeah, I couldn't have done it without the support that I've had these last 2 years.
So again, great to hear from another of our young athletes doing incredibly well. And Derek Dean's someone again who's a youngster and in a different sport, but has the world at his feet and has the opportunity of aiming for a home Commonwealth Games next year, which must really excite Dean and the wider community as well.
Yeah, and again, similar to what we were just talking about Noah, it's just seen that progress from Dean. And I would actually say, although we've seen progress in the pool, it's the levels of maturity that I've seen in Dean and the way that he speaks and the way that he comes across to our aquatics community now, that I'm just seeing that potential there that's going to take him on to that next level, just in that change. And hopefully people would agree with me from even just his interview on Saturday night that he's moved it on and his mindset's moved on to that being successful mode, and actually he can take anything on. Doesn't matter what pool he's going to go to, where he's going to swim, what conditions he's dealt with. He's looking to take that on and probably breed from some of that success that he's had and move it on, represent Scotland and hopefully represent GB further in the future as well. So I just see that, and what I find really interesting is, although you became both European Junior and World Junior champion, that more exciting bit from him is from the European side. And I don't know if that's that early success, and it's not that you would expect it to happen at the Worlds, but an expectation of people in the room may have been that the World Juniors was going to kind of eclipse that moment. And I find it really heartwarming that we're not just looking at the highest achieving success that is that moment. It's those other ones that sit maybe just a little bit below that. That goes for any of the young swimmers that are out there. They should take note of that. It's not just about achieving at the highest level. It's about how do you put everything together that's in building and capitalising on all that success for the future. And I really think that's the positive changes I've seen in some of the youngsters, but especially someone like Dean. And to hear just the change in his outlook and approach from obviously being a mix with University of Stirling last year and now going to be fully embedded in the programme. We know who's already at Stirling working with some of the coaches like Ben and Brad, but also swimmers like Duncan. But then even as Dean starts, you've got Tom Dean starting on the exact same day as him. Yeah. So that's quite an exciting prospect as well, that the training group and the environment that you're in is just experience galore mixed with that youth setup that's bringing on that next generation of swimmers like Dean. And that can only be exciting.
No, I remember speaking to Dean when he was, I think, maybe 14 or maybe even younger than that, actually, at one of his first snags, and being, relatively shy kind of youngster, and now you speak to him and he's so composed, and he's he knows he's a great swimmer, but he's just such a nice person to speak to, and he's always has time to stop and chat, and just speaks really well and passionately about the sports. Brilliant to see that progression as well. We should mention on the female side of that award, that was given to Phoebe Arbuckle of Warrender Baths Club, who is coached by Bruce Halloran there in Edinburgh. She had a fantastic season as well, really progressing season and winning first senior titles in distance events at Scottish Short Course and at the Scottish Open Champs as well. So again, Phoebe, one to keep an eye on in the future, with some really big opportunities coming up over the next 12 months and beyond as well. We'll just wrap up the last sport awards that were given out in the night. So we had Rory Nesbitt of Dunfermline Water Polo Club, who wins our Water Polo Player of the Year. Rory had a great year, winning his first senior GB call-up, which is a great achievement and actually quite a rarity for senior males from Scotland. So well done to Rory for that, and well done on your award as well. And lastly, we had our Masters Decathlon Awards, which went to Rob Lee of Forth Valley Tridents and Judy Pearson of Carlisle. Judy, obviously not there in person, unfortunately, but she had a really great summer, winning a medal, or medals, should I say, sorry, at the World Masters Championships in Singapore. So again, a reflection of achievements of athletes across the board and at a number of different competitions as well, which is really, really great to see. I think you'll like the next set of awards, Derek, which is our coaching awards. Obviously, we've spoken already a little bit about your relationship with coaching and how important you think it is. But we had Kirsty Mackay from Thurso winning the Children's Coach of the Year, and great to see someone from a smaller club in an area that maybe doesn't always get the success achieving that award. And really great for Kirsty to get that after years of really, really hard work up in Thurso. Laura Bowie, who we've mentioned already, Dean Fern's coach, won the Performance Development Coach of the Year. Obviously great work with Dean over the past couple of seasons as he moves on to Stirling. And last coaching award of the night was given to Anthony Ryan, who's someone you'll know well, Derek, winning the Age Group Coach of the Year after some great achievements with Dumfries as well. How do you kind of reflect on those awards? I think it's really good that we've now got so many, because coaching isn't straight down the line. There's so many aspects to it, isn't there?
And I love that over the last few years we've developed the coaching awards as well, to recognise it's not just about that high-end performance, that we're seeing it through all the categories, from the children's coach developing through to that performance level coach. And that's obviously, as I've reflected on my coaching at the start, so I'm an age group coach. So if those hadn't changed, then someone like myself then can't effectively go and win some of those. I think it's brilliant to be able to recognise that. But I think sometimes what people need to remember, and I think it reflected in some of the interviews, is it's not just about that one coach that's standing there getting that award. It's about that team around the people, and the people that they've experienced and learned from over the years. I certainly wouldn't be coaching in a style to an arm today if it wasn't from some of my previous coaches and some of the people I've been blessed to work with over many, many years. And I think someday, if I just take Anthony, for example, because I know Anthony really well, Anthony reflected on that really well, on the numbers of people and the number of people even just in the room on Saturday that he's worked with and helped. Or helped him, sorry. And then from there, it's just a number of things and a number of people that go into how you develop your experiences over time, and how you don't necessarily stick with the same practice, and how you develop your practice over a period of time. And to be able to see that, I know if we even just talk quickly about Kirsty and being from that smaller club, I know that she puts it down to the team that she's had and the support that she's had, especially from someone like Lisa up in the north as well, who's really supported her over time. And that's when it's difficult, when we sit as the awards panel in the role that I'm doing as well. But when you get some of the citations and it tells you about, can we share it between this person and that person? And you go, well, they're getting that success, but we also want to recognise the team that has helped them get there. So we always do try and make sure that we have a single person, where possible, that wins it. And I think every one of those is a credit to the coaching from that, because I think finally it was nice to see from the performance element that Anna wins the Performance Coach of the Year as well. And she's from that diving perspective, and I've obviously seen some of the things that she's done in the diving community just when I've been invited along. But you can see those relationships that build between athlete and coach, and I think that probably the word relationship is key to any of those coaching awards that go out and the development of athlete to coach, but also coach to coach over the years, to help them all develop to the coaches that they are today. Definitely.
And you spoke about Anthony. I think the phrase he used was, it was standing on the shoulders of giants. And so big Oasis fan, obviously, but also, quite a good way of putting it. And it's not just about him, it's about the whole team and the people that he's worked with before and currently, and I think it was just a really nice way of putting it. and they obviously had a great night as well. Dumfries winning Club of the Year. Anthony being a big part of that, but it really is about the team. And I think the people that were there on the evening saw the videos before the awards were given out, and you can see how together Dumfries are as a club, and just some of the great work that's going on there as well. And we should also give a massive shout out to Monteith and Renfrew Baths, who also performed so well and were fantastic finalists, and they should get massive credit as well for being up there.
Yep. Probably, I'm glad that I'm on something like this Aquapod, because just for any of the listeners out there, this is the most difficult Club of the Year that we've ever had. Most difficult Club of the Year we've ever had. Any of the panel will tell you that we went to multiple calls, multiple rounds, and actually even when we seen the videos on Saturday night, a few of the panel chatted after it, and we said we are so glad we didn't see those videos after we'd made our decision.
Wow.
Because it would have been even harder again. So well done to yourself, obviously, and the production team that have created those videos, that even although you get those internal videos that are sent to us, in terms of creating those decisions, very, very, very tough decision. Had a lot of deliberation. So it's just in making sure that people know that it's not taken lightly. It's such a key award. I would encourage as many clubs to be entering Club of the Year where possible, because there's so much good practice and good work goes on. I just don't think, maybe it's a Scottish thing, but I just don't think we sell ourselves enough. And I think the more that you can get the young people involved, not necessarily just always in the club to make, and I think Renfrew Baths were a testament to that, the way that the young people do a lot within the club, that's brilliant. But in terms of the Club of the Year submissions, if you can get the young people involved, they're better at selling what we do than what we probably are as adults. So, I would just encourage any club, because we all do some great work on a daily, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, just to keep our clubs running and be sustainable. We don't explore those opportunities and how we tell people that we shine. We just see it as, that's what we do on a daily basis.
It is such a great process to be part of, and I was lucky enough this year to be part of the Provider of the Year and the Club of the Year, in terms of organising, filming, and being part of how those videos turned out. And it's difficult when you're meeting people and you're hearing people so passionate, and because you want it, they all deserve to win. Yeah, that's genuine as well. They do. Yeah, I get you watching those videos on Saturday night again. You reflect and you go, wow, like there's so much good work going on, and it's great to showcase that. And even if you don't end up as the overall winner, I think being part of that top 3 or shortlist, or however you want to put it, the kind of the way that comes across to everyone else is always so good. And, people can really see who you are as a club, and the videos really reflect that as well. And I think it's great to have these processes. It definitely is worthwhile, and a great kind of way to round up the evening as well. And we obviously had Provider of the Year, which I touched on there, which is a similar award, but for the Learn to Swim Provider of the Year as opposed to Club of the Year. And that went to East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure, with the other finalists being Active Stirling and Edinburgh Leisure. Again, a really, really tough decision, I think, for the panel on that one. So much great work being done, and credit to everyone that was involved in those processes as well. And unfortunately, that's us coming to the end of the awards that were given out in the night. There was a few that weren't able to make it for various reasons. First of all, we had Swimmer of the Year, Archie Goodburn. Obviously had a challenging 12 to 18 months, and he's been an absolute credit to himself and continues to swim at the highest level possible. Was at part of the World University Games as well over the summer, so great achievements from him. We also had Junior Water Polo Player of the Year, Jason Dixon from Stirling Water Polo. You've touched on Anna Sless from Aberdeen Diving Club, obviously Noah Penman's coach, and someone that's a fantastic coach and has really showcased that the past couple of years. And we also had Faye Rogers, who probably had the best excuse for missing, given that she's at the World Championships at the minute and has already won 2 medals at the time of recording. She picked up Disability Swimmer of the Year and the Nancy Riek Memorial Trophy as well. A whistle stop tour there, Derek, but I think it was good to touch on quite a few of those points. Reflecting back on the night, what was your highlight, and is there anything you want to kind of bring out that maybe wouldn't have been seen on the night that you thought was a real reflection of the evening?
Yeah, well, I would just say as a whole, just a big thank you to the team that put it on. doesn't go unnoticed from people like myself, and I hope that other people notice that hard work that goes into it. It's months in the planning. Yeah, as I probably touched on, the highlight for me was the club of the year, and also speaking to sort of the other clubs who maybe didn't win on the night, but genuinely, and I know they can say everyone's winners, not everyone's winners. I get that, but at the same time, success and the difficulties that we had to get to that final award. I've spoke to John Lunn the last couple of days since the awards, and I said to him how difficult it is, and I think that's testament to the work that goes on within Scottish swimming. And within the clubs and the districts, that will get such a diverse community that makes it very difficult, because you would see those three clubs and they're very different though they're very high level, and although big clubs, smaller clubs, each of those clubs are different in their own right and should be taken in their own right, and to get to that is such a difficulty. So I always see that as one of the highlights. And obviously one of your colleagues, Paul Donald, would always agree with me that that's the most important one. And I do genuinely think it's the unknown one. So I think there's only a handful of us that ever know that result before it, or, people can always make their guesses about who might win and so on. And I genuinely don't think that was a straightforward one this year. So that was my highlight this year. And if I'm looking forward to next year, as I say, I just want to see more of those clubs sell themselves and get involved in the process as well. I just love everything about the awards. I just love that, I probably made that joke in my opening speech about you see people dressed up differently from what you would normally see. Like, you would normally see me, I'm kicking about in shorts and t-shirt. But for us all to be dressed up and having fun and celebrating the success that we do have, for all that we kind of complaints about different things that go on through the year, that's a natural process. But that's because it matters so much to us all. We really want to just keep that motoring forward on a consistent basis for everybody that we do. Yeah, I just see everyone coming together as that major success for Scottish swimming, and I want people to celebrate everything from the grassroots right through to that elite level, and that's probably what I want to see in terms of that lasting legacy, is that we've got that opportunity to get members in from everywhere through that competitive structure, but it's not always about that success. And probably just a final thing for me as well, the work that we've done through the Saver Pools programme and the Learn to Swim for school swimming. That's a key for me in terms of, we do have that vision of everyone can swim, but that's a genuine one for me. I've had some successes in the pool myself and loved every minute I've done with swimming, but if swimming's not for everyone, that's okay. But safety in water is a massive, massive thing for me, and I know that our Learn to Swim ambassadors are big on that too. I just think that's a really important factor, that we've got the success and we talk about the awards. But I think the success is about how we breed that next generation of everyone in the country being safe in and around water, especially in our country that's filled with waterways everywhere.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to wrap up, to be honest, Derek. I don't think we could cover that as well as you have there. So, really appreciate your time and chatting through some of the awards, and hopefully there's a little bit more detail there for people, a bit of kind of behind the scenes chat as well about some of those awards and how difficult it is to come to a decision. A great evening and a really great kind of reflection on Scottish swimming, Sasset, and on just the whole aquatic community in Scotland as well. So thanks very much for your time, Derek, and I'll catch you on poolside probably at some point in the near future.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Derek for coming on the show and reflecting on what has been an amazing year and an amazing evening as well. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and a like and a comment over on our YouTube channel if that's where you listen. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.